years of age, from Biddulph, Stoke-on-Trent, in his third season of 125cc racing, Jimmy, but has been around quite a long time, 10 years in total around the bike scene, and confesses to be a veteran, I think, at 32. It's a fair thing to say. Alongside him, Kevin Maudsley, nicknamed the Angry Gerbil. I wonder if he can see very much through that visor. It's a little bit dark at Oulton Park. Thought he was going to lift it for us then, but no. Maudsley has not had a very happy 125cc season. In fact, only in 15th place in the championship, with a 17th and a 10th place to his credit from the 4 rides. So a surprise package. But in the middle of the front row, Fernando Mendes, who gave us some very entertaining riding at Cadwell Park. Fernando Mendes going well indeed. Finished 3rd at Cadwell, and he is in 11th place in the championship with the points he collected from that one solitary place, having not scored at all in any of the other 3 rounds. Neil Hodgson, fastest but one. Just 18, Neil Hodgson, a very confident young man indeed, professionally turned out and on his first full 125cc season at the national level. And number 9, Ian Locher from Bonvilson, Cardiff, a truck driver, assisted by a Scandinavian truck company in his efforts. Former 250cc TT winner Locher, and has ridden a variety of machinery in his time. Very experienced and qualified 5th fastest round here. Now, it really is a mountain to climb, I think, for the championship leader, Mick Lofthouse, who could do no better than qualify in 13th place. But young Neil Hodgson, I hesitate to say in the twilight of his career, but at 32 years of age, Jimmy Brown has really come into form at the end of this 1992 season, his 3rd year on 125s, and could well put that pole position to good use. He was, in fact, just, would you believe, 100th of a second quicker than Kevin Maudsley. So it's pretty tight. In fact, there's very little to separate the entire 36-strong pack. Roger Burnett sitting alongside of me, always very close, the 125s, very little to separate them, and of course the machinery is so equal, isn't it?
Many times the 125cc race has been the best race of the day, although I would imagine that we'll struggle to get a better race than we had for the 750s. The front row of the grid there, you see Brown in the pole position. On the left-hand side of the grid as he sits on it, Kevin Maudsley in 2nd, Fernando Mendes, young Neil Hodgson 4th, and Locher keeping that front row. Locher, of course, a former TT winner, not particularly renowned for short circuit flair, but has had many a good ride, and I think Oulton Park's a favourite of his too.
12 laps then, the distance for this 125cc race. 12 laps, 33.24 miles of Oulton Park. There's some blue sky in evidence here, which means that things will dry out very much better. So all the damp patches, hopefully, will very soon be gone. Everyone's safely away. A lot of handlebar clanging, knees and elbows all tucked out around there to sort themselves out. And some of the, that's Hodgson out in front, you can tell the distinctive wheels of the youngster, Neil Hodgson. Fernando Mendes right with him. Those two then side by side, very close action along Lakeside. The left-hander of Island Bend now. Looks like Fernando Mendes has got his nose out in front. The 16 of Mendes, having come back from injury, is going really well. 3rd place then at Cadwell. And is looking to follow that up with an equally good result here. If we can get the race win, that will work wonders for Nick Carpenter's runner. Fulston's the chicane, and the activity a bit more sedate, I think, at this moment in time than the 750s. I think they're treating it with a great deal of respect.
Yeah, when there are 36 starters here, and it takes a while for things to settle down and people to get an amount of road that they're able to work with and make the race actually flow. But the early leaders, there's Jimmy Brown there in the picture, number 5, so he's living up to what he wanted to do. He's just taken over the lead from Mendes, so that's Jimmy charging. Hodgson's there in 3rd. All the front men are there. Mick Lofthouse has come from a bad grid position up, and he's in the front bunch there as well. So all the top runners are there. This is going to be great scrap.
Now we have the race on. Jimmy Brown, then number 5, the pole position man, heads Fernando Mendes, number 16, and is stretching away. Jimmy Brown is having an absolutely unbelievable ride here, and must wonder what's gone on under the helmet of his, because certainly the little bike's going well. They've got it set up beautifully. Jimmy Brown is a typical 125 rider in terms of his size and his personal dimensions. He's nothing over 5 feet tall, fits very well indeed. Mendes, on the other hand, is a very much bigger man and finds it more difficult to get tucked in to the fairing and make sure that nothing is sticking out to cause any wind resistance or any air brake whatsoever. And just look at this, that's Mick Lofthouse. Lofthouse, the championship leader, number 31, has come through from 13th fastest qualifying place to take the race lead. That was unbelievable.
I saw him charging towards Druids as we looked at the opening lap. He's a man possessed. He's looking like Terry Reimer did in the 750 race, and you see he comes all the way around the outside there in the yellow leathers, bike number 31, to really take the lead and take by surprise the 2 riders there. So Lofthouse is really on the charge. He wants to win this championship, I'm sure, and he's going the right way about it.
Race leader then, number 31, 24-year-old Mick Lofthouse, who's a crane fitter by trade, comes from Accrington in Lancashire, and really has set the 125cc scene alight this year, having a terrific ride. And what a determined first couple of laps from Lofthouse. Jimmy Brown down in 3rd, number 5. Then number 15 right with them as well, so tremendous stuff. Andy Bradford, 47, is also well in the running. That's Kevin Maudsley, number 15, who was on the front row. But Fernando Mendes now is hanging on to Mick Lofthouse, and Mendes having a look at the outside. Jimmy Brown, meanwhile, has by no means given up. So number 5, Jimmy Brown, tucked there in 3rd. And to the race lead goes Mendes. Mendes has gone past. So Mick Lofthouse really does have a race on his hands now, because Fernando Mendes, 3rd place at Cadwell Park, is not enough, clearly, for Mendes. He wants to improve on that, and he's putting in a scintillating display. Lofthouse, though, back in front, number 31. Mendes right with him. So these two now, their little battle, pulling them away from the rest of the field. And just about everything in this race is Honda, 125cc, single speed, single cylinder, 6-speed, I beg your pardon, single speed. That really would be an achievement.
Lofthouse is really making this. Actually, coming down through the avenue, it looked like Mendes grabbed hold of the back of the seat of Maudsley. We'd have to have a closer look at that, but there was certainly some kind of communication between the two of them as Lofthouse elbowed Mendes and said, you know, get away from me kind of thing. But these two are really hard riders. I've watched these 125 races with great interest this year, and these two men have been the ones that have been the danger men to anybody that looked like winning. And Brown's now in 4th place. Oh, you can see again, and that's Lofthouse, and this is what happens with these small bikes. They're elbowing each other, they're barging into each other. It's really exciting stuff.
Number 16 then, Fernando Mendes leads. Mick Lofthouse, championship leader, in 2nd place. Number 5, Brown. And Kevin Maudsley having a good look. Number 15, Kevin Maudsley from Blackpool, in 4th place. And he's right with Lofthouse in 3rd place. Maudsley was having a good look, but look at Mendes now getting out in front. And on a 125, it is vital to stretch the gap, and that's exactly what Mendes is doing. 2nd, 3rd and 4th place men are tending to trip each other up into Island Bend, then the right-hander, which on these little 125s taken in 2nd gear, about 50 miles an hour on this cambered one. I'd have to grab the clutch to come out, but no, everything's pulling nicely. Maudsley is really doing himself proud here. This is the best we've seen him ride in the 125cc Super Cup, certainly this season. Jimmy Brown back up to 2nd. Mick Lofthouse then, having charged through to the front, has been relegated to 3rd. Fernando Mendes, their line astern in the slipstream. So Mendes is punching a hole through the air out in front, and the others are driving through it. Nick Lofthouse, number 31, in third. He's way out in front on 4 points ahead of Neil Hodgson. And Neil Hodgson is now down in 6th place, way off this chasing pack for the lead. And Brown goes through, the pole position man. Number 5, Jimmy Brown, goes through. Well, these four are going to be tied together with a piece of string, Roger, for the duration of the race, it looks to me.
What a fantastic sight as the four of them come into Lodge Corner, and who's going to get round first? It is Jimmy Brown. Lofthouse riding like a man possessed, and Kevin Maudsley on bike number 15 is coming up the inside of Lofthouse now as they approach Old Hall. Maudsley, of course, recovering from a broken shoulder that he sustained at Crookston earlier this year, so a remarkable recovery. He took a little bit of dive. His results have taken a while to come back, but he's certainly looking very strong in this race.
The sun has come out here at Oulton Park, and that is going to make the world of difference to this 125cc race, because when the sun comes out, the track gets dry, the riders become more and more confident with what they can get away with, and we've now got a 6-man fight for the lead. Number 47, Andy Bradford, has come to join in the fun. And Lofthouse, number 31, who was third in the Isle of Man TT this year in 92 behind Joey and Robert Dunlop respectively, is back up into 2nd place. Kevin Maudsley, the man out in the lead, number 15, was 8th on the first lap, so he has made a dramatic charge through the bunch, and he's pulling away. Maudsley, this is an astonishing display by Kevin Maudsley.
The front runners have actually been holding themselves up in a classic, as a classic thing as races do, and the other 4th, 5th, 6th people have actually caught them up, and I don't think it's going to be too long before we've maybe got 8 or 9 bikes in this first group. But Maudsley, it's his home circuit, and he's certainly trying to make this result count.
From Blackpool, as I said, Kevin Maudsley, 29 years of age, employed as a toolmaker quite gainfully, although a semi-professional road racer as well, and a very good one, as you can see. Over the line then, Kevin Maudsley, a Raceways team member, along with teammate Paddy Corrigan, who injured himself at Cadwell, sadly, and couldn't take any further part in the proceedings, and Paddy Corrigan was looking quite strong in the championship. But look at this battle now for 2nd place, as race leader Kevin Maudsley has got something like 50 metres advantage. Andy Bradford still in 5th place, and number 43, that's Greg Ramsey, the top 6. So out of the top 6 goes Neil Hodgson, who is falling back now in 9th place. Could be that Neil Hodgson has a problem. It's uncharacteristic of the youngster who is in 2nd place in the championship to be so far down the field. Mendes, number 16, still in 3rd place. 4th place now, I beg your pardon. But Kevin Maudsley, Jimmy Brown, number 5, in 2nd. Lofthouse, number 31, in 3rd. Then Mendes, number 16, still in 4th. Right with him, number 47, Andy Bradford, the 24-year-old Scot. And Bradford now has gone past Mendes, so riding like a man possessed as well. Andy Bradford. Tell me, Roger, why is it we're seeing riders here at Oulton Park in this 125cc race that have hardly featured all season?
Maybe because Oulton Park is their favourite circuit, or their machine works well at Oulton Park, and riders do vary in what they like. But the most important thing is that it's yet another 125 race that's turning out to be an absolute classic. Maudsley does appear to have got away at the moment. You can see them look at them touching each other. Bradford there, and Lofthouse, number 31 and 47, but as I said, Maudsley's got away a little bit. I think they'll probably be able to reel him in. I hope they do, but it's certainly a thrilling race for 2nd place.
The tail end man at the back of this pack, number 43, Greg Ramsey from Perth. So another of the very strong Scottish contingent has just moved up a place, and Mendes now is coming under enormous pressure. Jimmy Brown is slipping back down the order, so it's all places change again. But Kevin Maudsley has absolutely astonished me. He's got a terrific lead now. 1.92 seconds the gap between this man, the race leader, 29-year-old Maudsley, ahead of the chasing bunch. And it's Lofthouse again. Mendes back up to third. So Mendes had slipped down a little bit, but he's got his act together and is now challenging again. But remember, the yellow bike, number 31, he is the championship leader on 59 points. And where he's sitting at the moment will earn him 17, because that's what he gets. But the race leader, Kevin Maudsley, not content with leading the race, has done yet another fastest lap. So Maudsley really going. The lap record, however, held by Robert Dunlop at 1:45.36, 94.61 miles an hour. So we're a little bit off that pace at the moment. We're something like 1.5 seconds and an enormous tumble. The rider into the fence. Two riders, in fact, came down very quickly indeed. And that was Lofthouse, the championship leader. So Mick Lofthouse has scuttled it all into the Armco barrier, and that's reduced the battle at the front of the pack. Mendes, number 16. Let's take a look at this again, Roger.
This is what happened. You can see Andy Bradford, he loses the front end. Lofthouse has got nowhere to go. He's got his foot on the floor, heading for the grass, and goes down. And that's at a very fast part of the track. He'll be taken in 5th or 4th gear on these 125cc machines, probably 120 miles an hour. I hope they're both all right, I'm sure they are. But that's how easy it is to go out of a championship. But when the racing's very close, as it's been in this 125cc event, and you've got no room to manoeuvre, that's what happens.
We'll bring you the news on those riders just as soon as we have it. That, however, has left it fairly clear for Kevin Maudsley at the front. Not that he was in any threat, but Fernando Mendes in a very nice second place. The battle now very much then about third between Jimmy Brown and number 43, Greg Ramsey. So Brown from Stoke-on-Trent, Ramsey from Perth. That elevates young Neil Hodgson up to 5th. And Philip Owens, the Ulsterman, number 14, who also doubles up with a sidecar outfit from time to time, is in 6th place. So Philip Owens then going quite well. Jimmy Brown justifying, more than justifying, in fact, his pole position, has ridden extremely well for the duration of this race, but is now having to worry just a little bit about what Greg Ramsey is doing, number 43, behind him. And Ramsey is looking faster by the minute.
Just say that Ramsey is riding an exceptionally good race. He's a rider that's always thereabouts, but he never actually pushes to the front. But here he's giving Jimmy Brown a really hard time, as Jimmy Brown takes a very strange line into the corner there. Perhaps he was trying to defend his position. But there you see the gap between Brown and Mendes. It's not irretrievable, but there are very few laps remaining in this race for Brown to get his win, which he would like to achieve.
Lakeside with the sun shining. What better place to be on a Sunday afternoon than Oulton Park when the sun is out? Beautiful scenery. A good crowd here watching what is turning out to be another dramatic race. All 12 laps of it, and we're now well over three-quarter distance. Greg Ramsey, the yellow bike in your picture, number 43, is chasing hard. The number 5 Honda of Jimmy Brown. There's the second place man, number 16, Fernando Mendes. Third is Brown, number 5. And Greg Ramsey now falling off the pace just a touch in 4th place. Second, third and 4th. You're watching them, and they're not nearly as close. It could be that we saw what happened earlier on in the proceedings, and they've just decided to cool the action maybe a touch. It was getting pretty frantic. But my hat goes off, I think, to the race leader, Kevin Maudsley. The yellow flag still being shown, but happily no red flag, which is good news in that I think we can be fairly sure that the riders will be not too severely injured. Otherwise, I think, Roger, we might have had a race stoppage.
As soon as the race started, Lofthouse looked like he was riding like a man possessed, and we saw him bumping and barging with various other people, and that may or may not have been his fault, but there was a very tight pack when the accident occurred, and that meant there was no room to manoeuvre. Now you see these riders spread out a little bit, and it's probably shaken them all up a little bit, and they've thought, well, let's get this one over with. It's points in the bag and no heroics for the last few laps.
The top 6 then, creeping into the 6th place, number 2, Chris Palmer, whose number indicates that he was runner-up in the series last year, but nearly 14 seconds behind the race leader, who has got 3.5-second cushion over the 2nd place man, Fernando Mendes. Jimmy Brown, another 1.5 seconds, and so on down the order. But Brown riding very well indeed, as is number 43, Greg Ramsey. But there's the race leader, number 15, Kevin Maudsley. That is the gap. 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Number 5, Jimmy Brown in 3rd place. Hasn't given up. I can see that he's now closing again on the back, just as you can see, of Fernando Mendes. And I think that going into the last lap, we could see something emerge in the way of a Jimmy Brown challenge, having been on pole position and then seeing that evaporate into a 3rd place. Not the best feeling in the world, I would imagine. Sweeping just a little bit wide again and looking very serious. Now maybe the angle foreshortening it, but no, Brown's going for it on the inside. Just as I said, he wanted that and he went really hard and he's gone a little bit wide, but no, Mendes still can't fight back. Jimmy Brown then up to 2nd and 3rd place. That's what this battle is about, and I think this is going to be fairly decisive. Can Brown hang on to it, Roger? I wonder.
I think what's happening here is that Ramsey is going to close up on them. You see them absolutely side by side. The best position for them to be in is with one rider following the other, so they're getting the maximum benefit from the slipstream. But Brown's gone wide. He's gone wide, and Mendes has gone back through to retake that 2nd place. Brown won't like that. He's looking for the inside line around Island Bend, and he's got it, so that's a change of lead twice in 2 corners. So Brown back through to 2nd. Mendes coming back at him into the Shellhorse corner. This is how it's going to be, I think, right to the wire. But Ramsey's catching them all the time, and as I predicted, he's there in the picture.
We're not encouraging any wagers on which of these 3 will finish in 2nd place, but this is indeed the battle for 2nd place, and Brown with a leg off the footrest. Well, he regained his composure very, very quickly indeed, and that surprised me, but it has allowed Fernando Mendes to capitalise a bit and consolidate the gap. So let's have a look again at that, Roger.
You see, he tried to go up the inside and Mendes didn't make it, went over the rumble strips, had to take his foot off the footrest to just steady himself, but managed to keep on the track. That was amazing. I did expect him to go grass tracking there.
Well, let me take this opportunity to give you a very quick update as to the condition of Andy Bradford, the man who fell very heavily. A leg injury, but nothing too serious. So we're happy to report that. The red flag, however, out. Just as I speak, the red flag out. But we are now in the dying stages of the race in any case, so certainly we will have a result. Hand in the air, the red flag indicating that the race has been stopped. As soon as we have confirmation of the result, it will come to you, but no mistaking the winner. Kevin Maudsley, number 15, from 8th place on lap 1 to a very, very well-defined win. Kevin Maudsley, 29 from Blackpool, shaking his fist. What a great result for him. From Brown, Mendes, Ramsey, Chris Palmer and Neil Hodgson still gets points, 10 points then for 6th place. What a win for Maudsley.
An exciting but dangerous sport, and we'll be back at Oulton Park for the 2nd leg of the 750s in about an hour's time.